Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. So, we are getting closer and closer to season 3 of Free, and we've watched Starting Days, we've seen the OVA, I just watched Timeless Medley, which was so good, and it's just getting me hyped up for season 3. And now we have Take Your Marks, which Take Your Marks, it's split into 4 different episodes, and so I debated on whether or not to just do 4 weeks and split it into 4 parts or watch them all together. But I can't wait 4 weeks and do 4 weeks worth of this movie. So I'm gonna watch it all together because you know what? I've got the afternoon. I'm gonna do it, and I think it's only like an hour and 40 minutes altogether total. I think each episode's like 25 minutes, perhaps. But I'm just so excited. I'm ready for season 3. So each of these 4 segments has a different focus, I'm assuming, and it's just Take Your Marks. Part 1 is Choice of Fate. One's called Butterfly Promise or something like that. But I'm just going to be watching these like one at a time and going through and probably doing like a little break in between. So down below it'll probably have some timestamps that you guys can look at to see when to start the next part. But yeah, I'm so excited that we're going to have these characters, Akuya and Natsuya and Now and Asahi and Kasumi in the 3rd season. Like, I'm really excited. And there's this guy with the glasses that looks kind of like Natsuya, but kind of not, that we don't know anything about him yet. So I'm really curious how everything's going to tie in, because so far, with the Timeless Medley movie, Sosuke has connections to Akuya because Sosuke saw Akuya compete and noticed that Akuya is kind of mimicking Haru in a lot of his swimming styles. And so there's that connection there. Asahi knows Kasumi and is going to visit with him, so there's that connection. And Kasumi just is handsy with everybody, so he's probably going to introduce Asahi to everybody. And Asahi knows Rei, even though he doesn't really know Rei. He just met him in, junior high. So there's so much to look forward to. I'm really excited. I have no clue what these 4 little mini segments are going to be about, but it's all new content for free. So I'm excited. But anyway, so we're going to have 4 episodes to watch in this, and we're going to do them just part by part. And I'll probably do like a little quick talk in between each of them. But yeah, I hope y'all are enjoying all the free stuff we've been given. I feel like I've been just like spoiled with all this free, and it's just making me kind of sad because I feel like we're getting closer and closer to season 3, and then once that's over, what am I going to do with myself? I've had all this time with free. What am I going to do? So, maybe it'll help bide a little bit more time until the new movie comes out. Maybe, possibly, I hope. So, in any case, thank you all so much for watching. Please feel free to comment. Please, no spoilers. But we are going to start part 1 of Take Your Marks, Choice of Fate, here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh, cool. Okay, get this ready, and then all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and load up this next one whilst we talk about the first part. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh my gosh. Let's see, there we go. Oh, guys. Oh, this is already really, really good. Already really good. So, I feel like I need to take notes in between. I feel like I'm going to need to take notes and then just come back, and when this whole thing is over, part 2 and 3, talk about it. Because we have Now being the part-time coach, and it being his apartment, Mako and Haru being nervous, Go and Rin and Sosuke and Momo. There's just a lot to talk about. So with this first part, I really love that we're getting this kind of slice of life moments with Mako and Haru, because if you've ever gone to college or gone or moved to a new place, whether it's going to school or not, there's that feeling when you move to a new place that you're not familiar with, that it is nervous, it is nerve-wracking. And I like that Mako kind of shows his vulnerability in this episode, in this part 1, because usually Mako's the one that's very parental and he's like, everything's gonna be fine. But Mako was nervous here. He was really kind of like, I don't know if I can handle a big city like this. And so we get Mako and Haru having 2 different apartments, and I'm assuming they're fairly close to one another. But Mako being like, I wasn't sure about coming here, and then this little Misaki kid like that wants to swim freestyle, like them helping him in the pool, and you can just tell Mako like gets instantly into his element, and he wants to like teach this kid, and it's like, and Haru sees it, he's like, oh, that is what you want to do, and you're so good at it, and it's like, ugh. And I love Kasumi. Kasumi continuing to be, we're going to call it, it's no longer the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It is now the 6 degrees of Kasumi, because Kasumi and his uncle Katsumi, precious. Oh my god, Catch Me, Kiss Me, I can't. And I love that it's his uncle, it's Kasumi's uncle that gets Haru the apartment. And Haru, it makes so much sense. Like I said in the reaction, he just wants somewhere familiar enough. Like he's in this new city, he has enough new stuff thrown at him. He still wants like the gas top stove. He still wants the swimming pool nearby. They said the park kind of looks like their elementary school, and he has the big tub. Like it's all stuff that's very familiar to him. And I love that it's now that used to live there. So it makes me wonder if one now's like moved in with Natsuya, maybe, I don't know. But two, if now, since he's in the area, they're going to run into him, obviously. And if Misaki's going to instantly be like, oh, that's my part-time coach. And it's like, we know him. So there's all that. Oh my god, Rin on the other hand, Rin is having no problems moving to Australia, because Rin's pretty much like a little jet setter. He can just go on. He's like, I'm totally comfortable moving and it's fine. He doesn't seem nervous. He seems like, nope, it's just part of it. I'm totally cool with it. Even though Go's kind of sad that her brother's going away. Momo, my dude. That was so funny when Rin's like, Sosuke, you know what to do. Take the book. And then Sosuke's like, got it. It's like, I'm like, oh, Rin and Sosuke are going to be gone though. So poor Ai and Momo are going to have to suffer without them. And I like that Rin's like, I put him through hell. It's like, yes. So Ai and Momo seem like they're going to be okay, but Rei and Nagisa, they look like they're struggling just a little bit. And that part where Momo like had his thumb on his phone, like you could tell Mako wanted to be there with Rei and Nagisa, and it's like, it's going to be a totally different dynamic, and it is going to be different. And I like that this show is going there and saying, yeah, because a lot of shows just either they end at high school or they jump to like 5 years later when it's been well past high school and none of it's fresh, you know. But in this case, we're getting that awkward transition from high school to college into adulthood. And so I really like that we're getting to see these characters go through these struggles and see them come to terms with the fact of what's happening in their lives. I love that. That's so much fun. And it's so relatable and it's so good. And there's just so much happening in this episode. Like there was not a lot of fluff moments. It was just like, let's dive in and do this. So I really appreciated that. But yeah. So, okay guys, we are gonna start here then. All right, so we are ready to start part 2, cooling down at a secluded hot spring. So, are we saying that we're going to get like a little R&R, a little vacation before we move on? I'm thinking so. We shall see, but let's start this here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You guys. This one was so good. Momo is that friend that has so much energy. And granted, I've had friends like that in high school too, where they were just like a nonstop, just constantly extroverted. We need to do all the things. And I was just like, oh God, I've got to deal with this for 2 more years. Or at least another year. But I loved in this, aside from Momo's antics, I love the So-Rin and Mako Haru in these last 2 episodes. Holy cow, y'all. But I love, and we got Natsuya meeting all of them, and Sosuke knows Akuya, but he doesn't know Natsuya, and there wasn't actually any names drawn. This, what is his name? Alba Alba for so I wonder if he's a guy that's going to be competing against Haru and the other teams because he seems like he's like the tall version of he's like a more gruff manly Momo version. So that's interesting. Oh my god, the boys of Samazuka, what a bunch of chads. Like they were talking about starting a revolution and going to the all girls school. Honeys, you guys might need to take a step back. That was so funny. And them getting the hot spring tickets, the cat named Steve. I'm naming my next cat Steve. That's official. That's amazing, that name. And then just oh my god, just Sosuke being so happy and Rin being happy. Like they just had such a fun time, and it was like one of those episodes. Like I wish in real life you could just go with these guys on this trip because it looks like they had so much fun. And I love the moments between Notori and Sosuke because those two characters have influenced each other a lot the last season, and they finally get to sit down and have a conversation about it, and that was really really sweet. But I love Natsuya saying like you don't have to compete to be important and have an impact in swimming, and it's like, oh my god, yes, thank you. But that was just, oh my gosh, that was so so good. I these last two episodes, like seeing these guys in these slice of life scenarios, and just Rin getting to interact with them, and there's like such intimate, quiet moments between them. I don't know. I just this has been so wonderful, and we still have parts 3 and 4. We still have parts 3 and 4. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So yeah, nah, we're gonna go ahead and watch it. We're gonna watch episodes 3 and 4. We still have parts 3 and 4, and we're gonna watch them. And so I know this video is long, but this has been just amazing. So we still have 2 more parts. So I don't know, guys. Let's do this. We are gonna start part 3 of Take Your Marks, Butterfly of Promise. So I'm assuming this is the movie. Oh, the one thing I have appreciated about this so far is that there hasn't been a lot of for as much fan service as Free gets blamed for, there's not really been any fan servicey moments. I mean, even in the hot spring, they could have totally done the whole Rin and Sosuke showing their muscles off in the hot spring, but they don't do that. They're very kosher with it, and it's just Notori and Sosuke having this quiet moment, and so I appreciate that. But oh, guys, let's get into this. Okay, so part 3, Butterfly of Promise. We are going to start that here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. That one was good too. Poor Ray, like seeing the focus on Ray and then being worried. I feel for Ray because I'm like, he is trying so hard to be the captain and to like live up to Mako and Haru's expectations, and they're just struggling. There's such an unknown factor there because they don't know who's going to join the team. They don't know if they'll get anybody to join the team, and so there's all these unknowns. And Ray is just trying to like deal with the stress, but it's very apparent that he's not, handling it the best. But I'm still so curious about this Azuma. I mean, I'm very curious if that's going to be brought up again. I thought it was going to be brought up again by the end of this episode, but it was not. So, interesting. Interesting indeed. And so we only have 1 part left. Oh my gosh. We just have 1 more part in this. Eternal Blue of Setting Off. We finally made it to we've had the setup of Mako and Haru getting their apartments, getting ready to Tokyo. Rin's moving to Australia. He's got all his stuff together. Sosuke has his charm of certain victory, and he feels invigorated that he's now going to go out and get his shoulder fixed, hopefully, and be able to swim again. We've had connections to Natsuya being an alumni and seeming to be a coach for this Samufan team. And then now is studying sports medicine, and he was a part-time coach for this local pool. And we've had Kasumi and Asahi. I'm sorry, but I said it in the reaction, but they got their wires crossed, and Kasumi thought that it was May when Asahi was visiting, so he's like, no, I want you to come visit now instead. I'm here in Tokyo. And Asahi was like, but I've already got you souvenirs and everything. It's like, and I love that Asahi's like telling his teammates, he's like, I got him souvenirs, I got him all this stuff, like, nagging about your boyfriend to your friends. It's like, what? Oh my God, I need, I need them to be in a scene together already. And then Akuya, we haven't seen. Akuya is the only one we haven't seen yet. The only one from Starting Days we've not seen yet. We've seen Natsuya, we've seen Now, we've seen Asahi, we've seen the man with the curly blonde hair that looks like he's going to be a competitive swimmer too. We've seen all these, or maybe he's still in high school. So Fan might have still been in high school, so he might be competing against Momo in season 3 as a high school student. That would be really cool. But we've seen all these characters, but Ikuya is the only one we haven't seen yet. Him and the glasses man. So I'm assuming they're saving that for this one. And I'm really excited. So, okay, guys. Eternal Blue of setting off. We've got one more left. So let's do this. Oh, guys, this has been such a journey watching all 4 of these, but we're on the last one. So let's do this. Eternal Blue of setting off, part 4. We're going to start that here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Oh, buddy. So, yeah, those 4 episodes. Oh, which I'm going to call them episodes. I know that they all make up Take Your Marks as a movie, but they felt very episodic, each part of it. And if I had to pick, I would say that I like the first 2 more than the last 2. The last 2 are pretty chaotic and ridiculous, especially the last one. But I think what I like about the first 2 parts is that the first part is very, for the record, if you are a Mako Haru Rin, So Rin fan, you will be happy with this film. I feel like because especially part 4 was very Rin Haru. Part 1, that was so Mako Haru. Like them finding the apartment and meeting up with Kasumi and Katsumi, his uncle, and getting all of that set up and the connection to Now. And then part 2 was so Rin. Like, I mean, the hot springs and everything and those little intimate quiet moments with Sosuke and Rin. And then part 3 was definitely Nagisa and Rei. And then this last part was kind of like Haru and Rin and then Momo and the others and all coming together. So I like the more quieter slice of life intimate moments that are in parts 1 and part 2. Part 2 is probably my favorite, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Samazuka fan. Like, I'm Team Shark all the way. But I think that episode had all 4 of our boys from Samazuka together and interacting with one another the most. I really liked part 1, but it was very clear that Iwatobi split up, right? That you've got Mako and Haru, and you've got Nagisa and Rei. And it was kind of like that in part 3 as well when they were doing the film. And then in part 4, you started to see that Samazuka was starting to go that way too. That Sosuke's going one direction, Rin's going to Australia, and Notori and Momo are staying behind. So it's kind of bittersweet, this film is, because I feel like this film did a perfect job of bookending and ending Eternal Summer. Like, I would count this film along with Timeless Medley and Starting Days as part of the Eternal Summer catalog. Like, you've got Iwatobi Swim Club, season 1. You've got that. And then you've got the OVA and all these movies kind of tie into season 2 and preface season 3. But I feel like this movie in particular, Take Your Marks, perfectly just ends season 2. Like, season 2 is officially over. Our guys are graduating, they're moving out, they're going to their new places, they're getting new places to live, and they're kind of branching out into the adult world. Whereas like Nagisa, Rei, Notori, and Momo are still back in high school. And I really appreciate that the show is doing this, because most high school stories in anime, either the show ends while they're still in high school, or it like cuts to like 5 years later and you miss all of this. Like, you just see like, oh, we have jobs now, and it cuts to like when I did Run with the Wind, it just hard cut to 4 years later or 3 years later instead of just going the next year. And this is actually taking the bold choice of doing the next year and saying, okay, what are we going to do with these characters? And so I really appreciate the show is doing that. I like it. It's something that I'm not used to, so I'm excited to see what kind of choices they make for this sort of thing. But what I like most about this show and this movie in general, when I watched Starting Days, I was so nervous that they were just going to have these characters just thrown in season 3 and we would have been like, oh, they were in starting days, you should know them, and there wasn't any integration. And then when Timeless Medley, when I watched it, I was really pleasantly surprised that I was like, okay, these characters are coming back up and they're integrating slowly into the show. Cool. And I was like, that'll give us something to look forward to in season 3. But I love in this film that it's integrating them even more. Like now, the connection with Now being the part-time coach that, you know, also it happens to be their former coach with this little kid. The idea that we'll probably see Natsuya with the high school team. So Natsuya will probably connect to Momo and Tori and Nagisa and Rei's story because he's still like an alumni and a part-time coach, it seems, with this high school that they're going to compete with. And then you have Asahi and Kasumi, which, for the record, we're just going to call this the 6 degrees of Kasumi from now on, because he is literally the plot connector of all characters and things in this show. Like, he has connected everything together, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love his character. His personality's so fun. And even though he's like handsy, it's like harmless. Like, he's just a really happy, fun, friendly person. So we have that. And then Asahi being like the connection there. And I want Asahi and Rei to meet. I need Asahi and Rei to meet at some point in season 3. I just need it. I need it. Even though he's a college swimmer, I need this to happen. Even if it's like maybe when they visit Haru and Mako, they'll have that moment. And then you have, when we started out this last episode 4, this last part of Take Your Marks, I was a little nervous because we hadn't seen Akuya yet. And we got the beginning where Akuya basically just recapped just enough for us, the audience, to know, okay, yep, the timeline. When Rin left, when Rin and Haru had that little race and that scuffle, that's when Haru quit in their last year of middle school. And then their freshman year of high school, they didn't do the swim team. And so as he was quitting at the end of middle school, Mako quit with him. And then Asahi moved away. And then Akuya went to America with Natsuya. So they went abroad to get better at swimming, and now Akuya's back. And that makes a lot of sense, because that makes sense of why Sosuke hadn't seen Akuya swim, because he'd been abroad. That's why they hadn't seen him. And so now he's come back and is really competitive. And I'm excited for that, because Akuya kind of has like the competitiveness of Rin, but like the stoic stubbornness of Haru. And so he's like a mixture of both their characters, and I'm really excited about that. Like that, I'm very, very curious how that's going to go down. Because I'm assuming he's going to be competing on an opposite team. I don't foresee him being on the same team as Haru. I figure he'll be like an antagonist in season 3. Akuya is. He's going to be our antagonist. And which, antagonists in Free, I thought Sosuke was going to be an antagonist, and he's not. We thought Rin in season 1 was an antagonist. He's not. So even though Akuya is our antagonist, I don't really think Akuya is. Now Hiyori, on the other hand, this Hiyori, our bespectacled mystery man that is with Akuya, he might be an antagonist. Because there was that moment in the coffee shop or in the cafe when Akuya was trying to notice, they were just reviewing, swimmers that are going to be up and coming on these swim teams, and he gets to Haru, and Hiyori would know that Akuya had went to Iwatobi because they went to high school together. I'm sure Akuya told him, and he sees that, and Hiyori could have mentioned Haru. He could have been like, oh, hey, look, your fellow friend is going to swim too. But he didn't. So, very curious. And he seemed kind of flirty in Timeless Medley about Akuya, even though Akuya was like, tsundere, back off. Which, of course, Akuya, I've been told, is being voice acted by the same voice actor as Tsukishima from Haikyuu, and Tsukishima's like tsundere to the max. So it's like, interesting. Don't spoil me, please. Don't spoil me about season 3, but I have my theories, and one of my theories is that Akuya is going to seem to be the antagonist, but is not. But Hiyori might be. Hiyori might very well be our antagonist, and I'm curious about that, this pretty boy with the glasses. That swims as well. And I just want now, and after that Hot Springs episode, I just want now and Natsuya to be together again and see each other. It's like to swim against each other one more time. But man, this last one, the miscommunication, that's just top tier comedy to me. Anytime there's like a miscommunication in anime, I'm all about it. And this was like the grand poobah of that. So that made my day. I was like, oh my God. But this has me so excited for season 3. I'll be honest, since season 2 ended, we've done the OVA, which was just like a normal episode length. It was just like an extra episode, basically. But then Starting Days was like 2 hours, and Timeless Medley was like 2.5, 3 hours with both of the films together. And then this was like 2 hours when you combine the episodes. I feel like the last 3 weeks I have binged Free for the reactions, and I love Free, and I'm so happy that I've got to see all this extra stuff. But I'm going to be honest, it'll be kind of nice to go back to an episode format per week where it's just 30 minutes of me being like, because then I can decompress and think about the episode. This was a lot to think about with this special. There's so much going on and so much happening, and I love it. Some of you have told me back when I started season 2, a lot of you were like, okay, well, what's the order of your reactions going to be? And I was like, okay, well, when season 2 is over, I'm going to do the OVA and then these movies. And some of you were like, oh, cool, some of the reactors don't ever watch the movies. They just go to season 3. And I'm thinking, how? I can't, having watched all these films, I cannot imagine how confused I would be going into season 3 with no context of who these characters were and their backstories and their relationships, because at this point we've had each character kind of woven in and interacting with the characters we already know of. So with Sosuke, him and Akuya, he's seen Akuya and he's told Rin about Akuya, so they're on the same page there. We've had the slight connection with Nao and Haru and Mako, and I think that's going to probably come back in season 3 because anime plot, of course. Natsuya has the connection with our third year, still at Iwatobi and Samazuka, and then Asahi and Kasumi have connections, so I'm assuming that they're all going to tie together. So I can't imagine going into season 3 and not having saw all this extra content, because I would be so confused, and I wouldn't have the same connection I would with these characters if I hadn't watched all that as well. Because what I love about Free is that they weave in the movies and they weave in the OVA. Like this movie weaved in the OVA into the intro. And a lot of anime movies just treat either the films or OVAs as filler, as non-canon, or they just don't integrate it into the story. Which is fine because not everybody sees the OVAs or the movies. But I love that this series does integrate it because it just makes it feel like I felt like I didn't waste my time watching these movies. I feel like watching them wasn't just getting extra fluffy filler content for free, but I felt like it was worthwhile because it's weaving into the plot, and it makes it feel like those specials are relevant and that the studio took time to make sure that they were done right so that they integrated into the story. So that's top tier to me. I love that a lot. But yeah, we've got episode 0 for season 3, which I guess is going to be the starting point of season 3. And then we're going to have the last season of Free. And it's bittersweet, y'all, because I put this on Twitter. I love that I've been watching Free for like almost 10 months. By the time we get to the end of season 3, I'll have reacted to Free for like nearly 10 months, almost a year, week to week, which is crazy to me. But it's kind of going to be sad because I'm going to be like, where's my Free? Where's my boys? And I'm so glad there's a movie coming out, but then we have to wait for it. And I know you all are sitting there watching this going, yeah, Romania, we know. And I'm going to be joining the fan club with you all. So, oh my gosh, you guys, this was just so good. This all was so good. Just the characters, the chaos, our boys. I'm so excited to see them all interacting in season 3. And we get that little preview of like Mikashiba. They're like, oh, he's improved so much since he went off to college. It's like, we're going to get to see Mikashiba senpai in action. And then all these boys. We can see Asi and Akuya after being from elementary school on. I'm so ready. And it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. So yeah, episode 0 is next. And then season 3, I can't wait, y'all, but this has been so much fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed these reactions. I'm sorry for it being so long, but so worth it. I'm glad I didn't just do this week. I originally had planned on splitting these 4 parts into a week-to-week reaction and be like, okay, I'll react to part 1 this first week, and then part 2. While that would have prolonged the eventual hiatus that we'll have from Free, I'm glad I didn't do that because watching these all together as much as it was so awesome, and I'm glad I just made it a big thing, like a movie. That was good. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, next week, episode 0. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll be back next week with more free. Bye.